Mortal Kombat 1 launched with massive hype, a new timeline, new gameplay system, and the return of classic 3D era characters. But months after release and even up to now, many players still feel like something is missing, and even though the core gameplay is fun, the overall package feels incomplete compared to the past MK games. Mortal Kombat 1 isn't a bad game per se, but that's debatable. But compared to older Mortal Kombat games, it feels like it launched with a lot of missing pieces. Now, the game launched with less content. Previous Mortal Kombat games were known for having tons of modes. MK games traditionally appeal to both the competitive and casual players. Casual players usually spend times in modes like the towers, crypt, minigames, or even online with friends. Like, for example, Mortal Kombat 9, you had like the challenge tower with hundreds of unique fights. I think they even had that in Injustice as well. You had lots of unlockable content. In MKX and 11, you had those living towers with changing objectives, and you had more like offline replayability. And I know MK1 has those towers of time, but they feel shallow that you have to like go through the invasions mode to do that. Mortal Kombat 1 has fewer offline activities. Many players finish the main modes quickly, and after finishing story and invasion, some players still felt like there wasn't much left to do. I remember when I first got Mortal Kombat 1, I beat so the first thing that I really did was I jumped in and I played locally, and I went into training mode and I played, right? And I played with all the characters. I did these combo tutorial videos for you guys. You guys love them. So I kept doing them and doing them and doing them, and I learned eventually most characters in the game. But then after that, I was like, okay, what else do I do? You know, I don't want to just do towers over and over and over again. So then I did the story was mediocre. You know, it's not too good, but it had a good start, but they really fumbled in the end. But you know, this video is not about the story. Okay, that's whatever. All right, so I did the story, I unlocked Havoc, and then okay, so I'm like, what now? All right, let's just jump into the invasions mode. Now that mode you could go on and on about. So that mode is very divisive. Invasions mode was supposed to replace the crypt and other side modes, and if you remember, they had a huge crypt innovation in Mortal Kombat 11 where you played as this, you know, unnamed ninja, kind of looked like Rain. You probably remember him, right? And it was sort of like a mini open world where you could go around and explore, and you know, obviously it has the main aspect of the crypt where you could just open chests and stuff, but there were lots of puzzles you could do, a lot of secrets, etc. And it was amazing. It was mindless fun. You could easily get lost in that for an easy like 30 minutes to an hour, which is pretty good for a fighting game, right? But this invasions mode was supposed to combine, you know, RPG elements with tower challenges, and a lot of times you had repetitive fights, you had slow map traversal. For example, like there would be these nodes that you had to go through to progress like an area, but there would be node after node after node of repetitive fights, you know, the same few characters you're fighting over and over in the same BS modifiers, right? There was limited variety in objectives, and many encounters just feel similar. You know, at first it feels interesting, like when you're going through Johnny Cage's mansion and going through the tutorial, and maybe even after the first area. But after a while, it just becomes really grindy. And for what though? Some players treat it as a way to unlock cosmetics rather than something they enjoy. So it's just like a grind, but like I said, for what? Because a lot of the skins that you get are palette swaps. And I mean, like, if it's not, you know, the invasion season of the character that you like to play, you're really not going to get any good skins. And another thing is, a lot of players wanted an invasion season for every character, so that way every character could have a spotlight, because obviously, as you know, in the story, every character has a possibility of being a titan and invading from another season. But we only got around, I don't know the exact number, but I just remember after a certain point the invasion season started to redo itself, and you know, you would go back to Season of the Spectre, and then it would go in the same order as it started, and that was just not good because a lot of characters were left out, and it feels like some characters were favored over others. And another thing is with customization. You know, look at Injustice 2 and Mortal Kombat 11. Those were two games that came before, like directly before MK1. Now, MK11 had extensive gear customization. You had different character pieces like masks, weapons, and armor. You know, you had to customize those 3 items that you could do. And it seems like it got reduced because in MK1, all you have is just that you could customize the initial outfit and the color, and then 1 piece of gear. And it seems like we're just downgrading and downgrading. In Injustice 2, you had that full-on full-body customization where you could customize almost every aspect of your hero or whoever character you want to play. And then in Mortal Kombat 11, we only had, you know, the costume and then 3 pieces, and we were just like, you know, fine, okay, it's a downgrade, but fine. And then it got even worse with MK1. You know, you customize 1 piece of gear and then you have a costume, and most of them are just color swaps. It's like unacceptable. So it's like customization options are more limited. There are fewer gear pieces per character, and you have less ability to personalize fighters. And this matters because customizations keep players invested long term, especially casual players that just like pimping out their character. Players enjoy building unique versions of their character, and without deep customization, some players lose motivation to grind content. And obviously Invasions isn't good, so if you can't play Invasions, and then story is, you know, just a cinematic story mode and it's just a one-time thing. If you can't play story over and over and you don't want to play Invasions, what's left? Just towers and online? Not everybody's an online veteran, you know, and nobody's just gonna play towers over and over. So this game has very, very little content for the casual player. And on top of all that, MK1 feels structured like a live service game. So for example, you have like the seasonal content, you have rotating cosmetics, periodic updates adding features, and you have that sort of item shop, you know, Dragon Crystal thing where they're selling the cool skins for money, where in previous games you could just unlock the classic skins. And some players feel like content is being added slowly over time instead of launching with everything included. You know, this could create a feeling that the game was designed to evolve later rather than release as a complete package, and you could, you know, feel it because this game has no content. And take a look at, you know, the competition. Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 launched with a large single player mode. You had that world tour. I swear when I first bought Street Fighter, I was amazed. I put in like 15 to 20 hours. I beat that world tour, and I went back when, you know, the new fighters came out, and you know, so basically when a character comes out in Street Fighter, they're added to the world tour as well as a master, and you could train with them. And I even went back for that. And because of this, you know, players compare 2 games. You know, Street Fighter is a direct competitor to MK1, and some feel like MK1 launched with less long-term content. But I'll say this, I feel like the core gameplay of MK1 is still strong. MK1 still has very strong combat mechanics. You know, the roster includes iconic characters and characters that should have been back a long time ago. I loved that they revitalized the franchise, or at least the 3D era characters, and brought them into like modern times. You know, some characters we haven't seen in like 18 years, 17 years, whatever, and they're brought back now. And visually the game looks very incredible. The story mode is cinematic and it is entertaining for the most part, but you know, it's not the gameplay itself is the problem, the overall package around it. See, like Mortal Kombat 1 is still a fun fighting game. The core combat system is solid, but compared to past Mortal Kombat games, the overall experience just feels lighter. Mortal Kombat 1 has great gameplay, but many players are still waiting for the game to feel complete, and now that it's, you know, over, the game just feels incomplete, and it would probably never feel complete. But I don't know, that's just my take. What is your guys' take? And I know it's a short video for today, guys. Do you guys think MK1 is incomplete, or do you think the updates, you know, will eventually fix it if there's something coming? Do you guys think anything's coming? I personally don't. I know NetherRealm said that they were gonna move on, and you know, if they were gonna make something else, they would have done it by now. I just hope that whatever comes out in the future, whether it's Injustice 3, MK2, or if they're gonna do a new IP, I hope that it's structured well and they learn from these past mistakes, because they've been going really on a downhill trend. And Mortal Kombat is a franchise that really holds close to my heart. It's one of my favorite franchises, probably in my top 3, definitely my favorite fighting game franchise. However, I've been playing a lot of Street Fighter 6 now because I'm done with MK. It's just not appealing to me, you know. If I am playing MK, I am playing the older games. I'm playing MK9, MKX, even MK11. MK1 is just dead to me now. But that's, yeah, like I said, that's just my take, and I just wanted to make this short video because I was busy today. I know I've been doing Let's Plays and stuff, but if you want to see that, you know, go on my channel and look at my Let's Plays. I have a face cam and everything, but I was a bit busy today, so I just thought to rant and do this little video for you guys. So make sure if you enjoyed this rant or video discussion, whatever you want to call it, make sure you like, subscribe, and join the Legion, the FrostyFlamez Legion. And yeah, MrFrostyFlamez out.